Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Andrew Little in reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate the contributions of members tonight, well, most of them. Mr. Speaker, this bill is very simple, and in fact, it is drafted in a very similar format to the government bill. So the complaints about lack of specificity or substance is a complaint, if it's going to be levelled at all, it needs to be levelled at the government bill too. It provides for regulations to be promulgated for standards in these particular areas, and it goes beyond insulation. And as other members have said, there is no point in having a well-insulated house in the depth of winter if there is no source of heating. Nor is there any point in having insulation if the windows don't open, there is no air circulating and the mould is allowed to build up. It is pretty simple. These will be the regulations that have led to 42,000 kids being hospitalised every year for respiratory diseases and bronchial infections. If the minister hasn't got it yet, his regulations aren't working. They have to change. I think he does accept that because his own legislation actually calls for a change in the regulations. My bill is no different. It just does a better job than the minister's. Mr. Speaker, I was intrigued by the honourable member David Seymour's contribution, and I suppose I summarise it by saying this: that the latter-day libertarian has a particular principle they live by now, which is that do as you wish, be as greedy as you like, because in the end the state will pay. Because that's what his contribution amounts to, and it is not about people, picking and choosing how much more they want to spend. The truth is that most of the people who have written to me are struggling already to make choices between putting food on the table and meeting the medical costs of their children. And if he's concerned about where cost is going to be imposed, Mr. Seymour, it is already being imposed on you and me and every other New Zealander as we see 42,000 children admitted to hospital every year having their respiratory infections and bronchial conditions attended to. It is very simple.
I thought you were clever.
I want to say this to Mr. Foster Bell too, who was concerned about, or at least tried to trumpet the great achievements of his government and their insulation program. The question he must answer, and indeed the government must answer, is why, on achieving office, did they cancel the $1 billion program that had been legislated for by the previous Labor government, supported by the Greens, that was about insulating and installing heating devices in the houses that needed them. It is all there in black and white, Mr. Bishop. It is all there for you to see. We know it's true because I can tell by the size of your reaction that it must be correct. Because you only get agitated. You only get agitated when we're right about something, and you have confirmed that. And so, Mr. Speaker, we come back to what this bill is about. And it is about New Zealanders standing up and saying, in the 21st century, we want decent minimum standards for rental housing in New Zealand. And we want a standard that is going to protect the kids in those houses from getting sick, from getting unwell, and from getting unhealthy. And actually, at the same time, making sure their parents are okay as well. That's all this is about. Let's do it for New Zealand. Let's do it for those who don't have a voice. It's not about those who sit in Epsom, the leafy suburbs of Epsom, and tell the rest of the world what's good for them. It is about this House now taking this opportunity to say we can do better. We can do better for the children and their families in this country and have decent, healthy homes. Warm, safe, dry homes. It is nothing less than any citizen in a modern country like ours in the 21st century should expect. I look forward to the House's support for the bill.
The question is